Okay. And I think the only reason we're having this is maybe we're missing a signature, but I think we're in good shape on this.
I was pleased when I read the report.
I've been so relieved and happy.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, and Shay Grant will be my permanency specialist today. We're here and present, ready, done.
Kenner for the mother, Kathy Davila. We're both present, ready.
Your Honor, my name is Tate Eldridge. I represent Mr. Gibbs. I've had no contact with him. I don't think anybody else has, so I'm here, but I have no idea. I don't have an address, phone number, or anything. I have no idea where he is.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Major.
All right. Is Mr. Gibbs, let's just clear that up. I thought he was still in jail on a parole violation. Is he no longer in jail?
He's not in Potter County anymore. He is in TDCJ in Pampa.
Okay.
I didn't know that. Okay.
All right. So Mr. Eldridge, that's where he is.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. What do we have new since the court report was filed, by the way, I was extremely encouraged.
Yeah, things continue to go well. I think the only thing new is that Major is now doing therapy every 2 weeks instead of weekly. We're getting great updates from his therapist, so things are going great.
Okay. And he and mom are doing family therapy, right?
No, he's just doing individual.
He's just an individual. Okay. All right. Are we going to do any continued family therapy, or we're just waiting for the therapist to make a recommendation? Or
Yeah, I think she was good on the family part of it. She just wanted to continue to see Major individually. So
okay. All right. Okay. All right, Mr. Ronho.
I have nothing else to add, Judge, other than Ms. Davila is doing great and Major's doing great.
All right, good. Mr. Eldridge, anything?
I have nothing.
And Ms. Zavala.
I just want to say this has turned out beyond my wildest hopes. I know Shay's been in the house weekly. Casa's been in the house weekly. I've been able to visit. I call Kathy Teresa, but with Teresa and with Major, and really it is going so well, and I am so relieved and happy. And it was just really pretty wonderful to see. So I just want to congratulate her for all her hard work, and so grateful this is going so well.
All right, and Casa.
Hi, Judge. This is Paula from CASA, and I came in on this case just a few months ago, and I know it's been going on for a long time, so I met it where it was, and I am so impressed with Major's mom, Teresa. Very good job. And when my last visit was so heartwarming, I walked in, children were having a snack, watching TV, mom was cleaning the house up after she got home. It was normal. And everybody just seems to be settled. And so I'm very happy with this.
Okay. Well, this is all just music to my ears, obviously. So, Ms. Davila, you've really, you have really, worked hard at this, and we can't thank you enough, but I'm just so happy that it's had a quick turnaround. So, if you hit any rough patches, golly, don't hesitate to reach out, So, it just sounds like everything's going great. And, I think I don't know if y'all have had any meetings about it, but I think if you're good, let us stay in for a little while just to make sure you don't need anything from us. I think that's what it's all about right now, is just making sure you've got the support you need. And, if there's anything further that you need from us. So you're doing a great job. Okay. You're muted, but I can read your lips. I can tell. You're welcome. All right. Then I see no reason not to continue. The department is permanent managing conservator right now. Continue placement with mom. Let's just kind of keep monitoring for a little while longer. And then, yeah, our next review hearing is November 9th of this year of 2023. That's on a 9 o'clock docket. I would be very surprised if we're still involved at that point. So, if this results in a dismissal or final order before that time, and let's just talk about that. We're going to need to we've got a final order, obviously, so we're going to need to modify. Have we done anything yet as far as dad is concerned? Do we feel like we get to reserve with the modification or anything to get this wound down at some point?
I would have to talk to Shay on that. I don't know if she's had any contact with him to see if he signed off on an agreed order so that we can get it without filing a modification. But I'll get it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, when I think we get to that point, we know where he is now. I mean, Tate could probably communicate with him and get that to him. I mean, obviously what we're looking at is, then doing sole managing to mom. He can't pay any child support right now, but he might be able to in the future. But anyway, I'll let you guys talk and see what that looks like. If Tate, I don't know whether you're willing to you're still his attorney, whether you'd be willing to accept service on a modification, just a simple motion to modify, because I think at some point that's where we got to go.
And I don't mind doing that. And if anybody happens to have his TDC number, I maybe email it to me. That'd be helpful. And I will reach out to him with any sort of proposed order. I'll go ahead and send him a letter and see if I can't get some contact. I've had zero contact with him, but I don't, I'm still the attorney. So yeah, I don't mind accepting service. And now that I know where he is, I can at least try to get some contact with him and see if he has any issues. I'm guessing he probably doesn't based on his current situation.
I wouldn't think so. And so Ms. Grant, you probably have his TDC number, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You have that handy. Would you just email that to Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Then I guess we'll just it's on the books for November 9th, but I hope we won't be in that long. And so if we are not, then I might see you all at some brief, prove up if we need to have one. If we've got an agreed order, then I may not see you. So Mrs. Davila, if I don't see you again, congratulations to you, and just, keep doing what you're doing. So,
thank you so much. I just want to appreciate everybody on your team for just supporting me and giving me the help that I need, man.
Well, it's thanks to all these other folks.
Yes, it is.
They're the ones that do the legwork, not me. So,
Yeah.
okay, well then, until then, we'll just continue everything, and then maybe we'll be done by November. So y'all have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, may I talk to Tate real quick in a breakout room?
Is that
Okay,
sure.
can you hear me?
No, you still.
Okay, give me a minute.
Okay.
All right, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Shay Cairns is my permanency specialist today. We are present, ready, Your Honor.
Natalie Archer for the mother, Shannon Klotz.
Joel Jackson on behalf of the father, Eric Cotton, present and ready, Your Honor.
Todd Henderson, attorney and guardian ad litem for the children, present and ready.
Lindsay Murray on behalf of the intervener Stones, present and ready.
All right, so what do we have new since our court report, which I have some questions about?
Yes, ma'am. Shannon has completed inpatient, and she has started face-to-face visits with her children. They're going as well as they can be. I mean, the children haven't seen her, since October, but it is going well. Dad hasn't drug screened. He did do the OSAR, which on his end, it says that he only have one positive drug screen. So he doesn't need any more classes and such. So he didn't start outpatient. I still haven't received pay stubs. They both have a car, but they're still living together. I believe that's all.
All right, so is what you're telling me that he did an OSAR and they didn't recommend him for anything else?
Yes, ma'am, because he just has one positive, but he hasn't been drug screening.
Which I thought I made it very clear that he would do.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let me just ask it this way. I'm looking at my ruling and I ordered him to intensive outpatient program. I didn't order
Yes,
him, I didn't order it to be, do an OSAR and follow the recommendations of OSAR. I ordered that he do intensive outpatient program. So, Mr. Houghton, is there something about that you or your attorney don't understand? That's what I ordered you to go do.
Sorry about that. I said, yes, ma'am. No, I fully understand. Yes, ma'am. I fully understood the court order, and I was just doing as directed as far as waiting on the OSAR phone interview. And then at that point in time, she asked me certain questions, and I just told her, the honest answers to them. And she said that I didn't need it, which I'm okay with still doing it. I know I still need to do it, but without health insurance, which I did apply for Medicaid and haven't heard back from, I am unable to financially pay for IOP out of my pocket. It's just well outside of my means. But by all means, I will attend anything. I mean, I'm doing the best I can, ma'am.
So at our last hearing, I ordered that you would both go do a UA before 4 o'clock the next day. So Ms. Cairns, did that happen?
Yes, ma'am.
Both of them?
Yes, ma'am. I don't have my drug thing in front of me. I apologize.
But do you know for sure that they both went and tested as I ordered?
They should have had the drug screen results on that, but I believe so. I apologize.
Because my order said if they were negative, they could have the face-to-face visits.
Yes, and Eric did not go. Hold on. Because they were supposed to, Eric was going to get virtual visits, but then he didn't get a, he went, oh my gosh. I apologize, Your Honor. Just 1 second. He was going to get virtual visits, but then he went again. I sent him again before the virtual visits were set up, and he did not go, and he hasn't went since. Shannon had a refusal, but then she went to her inpatient and she's been negative since. So she's got the face-to-face now. And on the virtual, we weren't able to get a worker in fast enough to set it up. That was the reason on that.
Okay, so I'm coming back. I'm going to circle back to my question because I'm not sure I got a clear answer yet. On the day of our final hearing, I ordered that both parents go UA before 4 o'clock the next day. That's what.
Yes, they did. Yes, I apologize. Yes.
Okay. What were the results of those?
Shannon was a refusal and Eric was a negative on 4/19.
No visit.
Okay. So then mom went into inpatient.
Yes, ma'am.
And so even though she refused the drugs test that I specifically ordered,
yes, ma'am,
we've started face-to-face with her.
She was negative during May, and then she had a negative.
I understand.
Yes.
But she did not do, and this is not directed at you, Ms. Karen, this is directed at mom. She did not do what I ordered her to do the very next day after we had a full-blown trial on this.
Yes,
about termination of parental rights. And I didn't terminate rights, give you another chance. And the very next day, you did not do what I ordered you to do.
Ma'am,
correct?
If I can speak.
Yes or no?
I didn't get it. She was close and
You're breaking up. You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
I show up. But the timing, because I didn't have a ride, I didn't get a ride in time, or I got there and there was 2 other people in front of me. And by the time I went to go or whatever, she had to go. Like, I didn't have to go like right that second. And then she's like, well, I got to go. We closed. We're already closed. So that's what happened. I know. So that's why it was a refusal.
Excuses. You had all day to do it. I said before 4 o'clock. One would think that the day after a trial where you got what you wanted, you know, you would have gone and made sure you had plenty of time to give a drug test. But, right, I'm happy you've gone to inpatient. I'm happy you've completed. So we'll try hard not to lose sight of the big picture here. But the big picture is also made up of a lot of little small pieces that are very important. So, you know, I've specifically outlined what would be grounds for the department to file a modification.
Yes,
In this
ma'am.
case, you have 2 precious children who are waiting in the wings. You know, they're just waiting. And every day that goes by, they're more bonded and more bonded with the interveners in this case. You know, the harder you guys are making it on these children, and that's on nobody else's shoulders but your own. So, Mr. Houghton, you better start drug testing for us. If you don't, your head's on the chopping block.
Yes, ma'am. I fully understand. Yes, ma'am.
Same thing, Ms. Klotz. I mean, you guys have got a history here that, you know, just the cycle repeats, and I'm not going to keep your children waiting forever for you to break that cycle. So, you know, my intent and my purpose was to give you a lot of motivation to do what you need to do right now. But, you know, what I'm still hearing are excuses. All right, Ms. Cairns, anything else of note since the court report was filed?
After Eric had did the OSAR, he had told me what they had said, even though I just got the paperwork this morning. I did tell him that you trump what the OSAR says and that he still needed to sign up for outpatient. And I've told him multiple times, even though he hasn't been in contact with me since my last visit, he maybe has responded twice since last month. But I send messages to him every other day asking for pay stubs, asking for all of it. And I haven't heard from him. And I can go through the dates if you need me to on when I contacted him, but it's a lot of them.
Okay, so that was one of the things I ordered, that you complete any services that you did not complete in the underlying case. So providing that information, cooperating with the department, staying in contact with them, all of that is part of my order. And you know, it's because all those things are important to us to know whether you guys are providing a stable environment for these kids. And they are babies. You know, these are not self-sufficient 14, 15, 16-year-olds. So, you know, if you misunderstood me before, then I'm trying to make sure you have a very clear understanding now. So all of these things are going to be done, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I've been doing my OSAR. I have a full-time job. I just turned in my check stubs to Mrs. Karen this morning. So I also have a sponsor too.
All good things. So I guess we'll see. All right, Ms. Archer, anything you want to discuss today?
I was just going to reiterate what Shannon said, is that she's been going to the visits. She finished her rehab. She's doing Celebrate Recovery. She's doing NA meetings. She's working full time. She has a sponsor and 2 recovery coaches. So she's made a lot of progress since the last hearing, Judge.
And I'm also doing IOP.
Okay, so let's discuss with Mr. Jackson, and that's your client. My quick question is, surely we can get him referred to an outpatient program that the costs are covered.
That was going to be my question to Ms. Cairns, if they have a program that the department can pick up the tab on. I thought that was kind of the normal.
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand his dilemma about health insurance and not being able to pay. And where are we with that?
Well, I thought that the department would have a recommendation for which outpatient service that they wanted him to go to, and would provide them the necessary form that they needed so that he can engage in that service without any out-of-pocket expenses, like they do on counseling, on parenting, on psychosocials, everything
Yeah.
else.
Yes. And he was very adamant that he didn't need it because of the OSAR saying so. So
Okay.
that he is not the most cooperative with me, Judge. I apologize.
Okay, so we need to get him a list of outpatient programs that he can go to that aren't going to cost him out of pocket. Sorry,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Houghton, I'm not changing my mind at this point. I heard hours and
No.
hours and hours of testimony. No, don't argue with me. I heard hours and hours and hours of testimony about this. My order was my order, and I'm not changing it.
No, I'm more than fine with that. No, I disagreed with her comment and now what she said. I never didn't not want to go because she said I didn't want to go. I can't pay for it. I mean,
Okay.
the number is astronomical.
And we're not asking you to. So Ms. Cairns is going to get you names of some programs that you can do that aren't going to cost you anything.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Now, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jackson?
Ms. Cairns, it's my understanding, I mean, you're aware that Mr. Houghton has maintained stable employment, correct?
I have not received pay stubs, so I honestly do not know.
Has he given you the name of his employer?
Yes, and I asked Eric to have his employer write out how much he's been paid and to have him sign it and date it for me.
Okay. Has he given you the number to his employer?
Yes.
Have you reached out to his employer and asked?
Yes, and I did not receive a call back.
Okay, we'll get you that information.
Okay.
I think it's my understanding that sometimes he's paid in cash and sometimes he's paid with a check, depending on the amount of hours that he's worked.
Yes, and if
So-
he would just have the employer write all that out and sign it, that would work.
Yes,
But-
ma'am. We'll get that over to you.
Okay, thank you.
And I know also, Ms. Cairns, on the drug testing that you're requesting, he resides in Brownfield. Is there a lab in Brownfield that you can use?
There is not.
Okay, yes, kind of love it.
Yes, and I tried to find the one closer, but there's one in Plainview, I believe, but I believe there's one in Plainview, but I think it's about the same. Is it about the same distance?
No, ma'am. Plainview's further from Brownfield.
Okay, I apologize. That's why we weren't using Plainview.
Are we
But
talking
I
about,
have sent them.
are we talking about drug testing or what are we talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wouldn't Lubbock be the closest for him?
Yes, and that's
Yes,
where
ma'am.
I've been sending him.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Murray?
Your Honor, at this time, I don't have anything to add. I will be reaching out to mom's attorney and have some discussions with her. I believe that my clients are working with the department. I think they are working with the in-person visits as well. I believe that the children have had some reactions to those visits due to the fact that it had been quite a while since they had seen mom, but I believe that everybody's working together to make this transition as easy on the children as possible at this time.
All right, thank you. Appreciate their cooperation. Mr. Ms. Stone, I realize you're with us today and I appreciate all your cooperation. Okay, and Mr. Henderson.
Well, I would just echo what Ms. Murray said. The children are doing well. Visits are difficult as to be expected at this point, but the children are doing well. It's just, I would express the frustration because I'm sure we all can see these hearings in this case seem to go the same, which is a lot of yes, ma'am, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do whatever I need to do. And then when we hear about what happens after we're done with court, it's just a bunch of excuses and why they didn't do what they were supposed to do. And that's getting, it's very frustrating that these seem to go the same every single time of saying they'll cooperate and then they don't once we're done with court. So I just wanted to say that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Henderson.
And Judge, I'd go ahead and ask that we have hair follicle UA's court order today. I think from Ms. Karen's report, was as far as Eric's concerned, I believe he did not go on June 5th, which has been about a month. I don't know if he's been sent or asked to go again, but that's what I'm saying on the last one. So we had asked for drug screening order today.
All right, then, I'm gonna continue the department, permanent managing conservator. I'm gonna continue the children's placement. I will order parents to go drug screen today as requested, hair and UA before 4 p.m. Get the paperwork over there quickly so that they've got all day to show up to do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I'll see you all back on December 14th of 2023 on a 9 o'clock docket. Unless the department is modified and we do something different before that.
Did you say the 14th?
Daniel
Yes,
Trout,
December
Texas
14th.
Department of Family and Protective Services, and Tiffany Brown is my emergency specialist. We're present and ready to go.
Sorry, Stacy Zabala on behalf of Gabrielle.
Okay. Ms. Britton is present with us today.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And so what do we have new since our court report was filed?
Good morning, Your Honor. Since the court report was filed, we did have a family team meeting with Courtney and her support system here in Amarillo to assess what the possibility of her being placement for Gabriella would be in the future. We did also have a child plan meeting on Friday, June 30th with the CPA agency as well as the placement for Gabriella currently. And we are also in the works of setting up a PMN staffing to see if it is a possibility, depending on how court goes today or in the future, if we decide to make Courtney placement for Gabriella.
Okay. And so I read all that. And do any conclusions come out of that?
We will set up the PMN meeting just to look at if there are providers here in Region 1 that will be able to absorb Gabriella's care. I did meet with Courtney yesterday in her new home to observe the home. She does have a room set aside for Gabriella if we do in the future place Gabriella home with her as placement. We discussed, we do need to meet with staff at DFPS to see about transport as well as medical specialists that are available out here. Courtney is aware that most of Gabriella's care is done in the DFW area. So the expectation is that if the providers cannot be here in Region 1, that she would have to travel back and forth to the DFW area to make sure that all of Gabriella's medical needs are met. I have attempted to reach out to biological father with no success. And just really working with Courtney to obtain the goal in the case of family reunification.
Some obvious hurdles that the child's medical team is that far away with her very highly specialized needs. And what does, I know she has 24/7 nursing care right now. Would that be also the case if she's placed back in the home of mother?
Yes, ma'am. So Courtney has selected an agency here in Region 1, which I was able to meet with. They will provide, in Gabriella's current level of care, she is to be provided 168 nursing hours. The agency has assured me that if a nurse calls in sick or if a nurse is not available, that is their responsibility to make sure that there is a nurse present and that the nurse that is on shift is not allowed to leave until the new nurse comes in. And so also let Courtney know that those nurses are mandatory reporters and that they will be looking at not just Gabriella's care, but in the home as well, making sure that the home is safe and stable for all the children that are in the home. And so the nursing agency that she has selected has also assured that they would be responsible for all of the medical equipment, medicines, and feeding for Gabriella as well. And that would be paid through Medicaid.
Who is that?
Courtney, can you remind me who the agency is?
It is Children's Home Health.
Children's Home Health?
Yes, ma'am. That's the agency I was using before the accident had happened.
And they're here in Amarillo?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Zavala, have you been given that name?
I was able to speak with Ms. Sessions and Ms. Brown. I was given the information. I do want to be kind of clear. I think this process of possibly looking at reunification with mom is still way far in the future. And I think Ms. Sessions and Ms. Brown would agree with that. There are so many steps that need to be done beforehand. And I think the next step is just taking those steps. At this point, we don't even know if the medical providers that she would need are accessible here. There's so much information we still need. So although we're talking, and they can absolutely correct me if I'm wrong, although we're talking about possible reunification, it's more like, let's take the next step to even see what might be available. As far as I can tell, we are nowhere near this actually happening anytime soon. However, placement that have her now have taken great care of her. I've got no concerns about the care that she's received one bit. But they have stated that they're having to reevaluate on every 6-month basis. This is not a long-term forever placement for her. So one of the things that we need to be doing, that I know that Tiffany and Aaron and everybody's working on, is we've got to make sure we've got all of her medical information. So we need to be gathering that from placement. So I know some requests have been made for that, but I think we still need some of that information. At some point, Gabriella is very likely to have to change placements at some place. So while there's this talk of reunification, I think we're 20 steps out from that actually happening. It's just, we need to move to the next step. We need to gather that medical. We need to see what it would take to transport her here. We need to see exactly which specialists are available here. And I think St. Francis is working on that in terms of steps. I think everybody's got some concerns about whether it can be done. I definitely have some concerns about whether she can safely come home. But I think the only way to address some of those concerns is go to the next step to figure out what medical is available, to make sure we've got all of her medical records. And of course, while that's happening, for her to remain in the placement she's in. So I see no problem in taking the next steps. In fact, I think we kind of have to even get a clear picture. But I do want to be clear. I would ask for a hearing before anything was actually done in terms of movement. But I think we're working together, and there's been good communication. It's just a matter of trying to continue on to figure out what the possibilities are.
Okay, I have no issue with everybody being proactive about this and starting that process of looking and gathering information, because it is not a simple transition. So, Ms. Britton, I don't take my questioning as, that I'm just saying, oh no, that's never going to happen. That's not the intent. I just recognize that this is a monumental task.
Judge, your microphone just messed up again, I believe.
I was gonna say it cut it out.
Okay, can you hear me all right?
You're back to the robot voice.
Hang on.
I think everybody knows this is a monumental task to make sure that this is done where the child's health and safety are protected. So I'm good with everybody looking forward and, seeing what our options are, particularly in light of the fact that we know she could be moved at some point in time. So, all right, then I think, till now we just continue everything, but keep working the problem and seeing what that's going to look like down the road. I think everybody's doing everything you can right now. Our next.
I was just gonna say, I think some of this also, and you probably know from the report and stuff, some of this kind of came up and started looking at it a little more closely right now, just due to the way some things have gone with placement in the agency and some of the meetings they've had lately. And I understand everybody's looking further down the road, but I think we do need to make sure we are getting those ducks in a row, so to speak, due to some of the issues that have come up with placement. If you want to know any of those, Ms. Brown may be able to tell you some of that. I don't know how much you want to really get into it.
I read and I read it, and I understand. I know, and I'm aware we've got that problem, and I think y'all have dealt with it the only way you can deal with it for the time being. And It's unfortunate, but you know, I don't think there's anything that we can do about it. So
No,
but I also agree with the decision that has been made by the department in St. Francis at this point in time that let's just be where we're at right now, knowing that there may be an ultimate change anyway. So
yes,
I don't think it's justified for an interim change.
yes, ma'am. No, I completely understand. And Ms. Brown, can you tell me, I know the placements kind of reevaluates every 6 months. When was the last time that they kind of reevaluated that?
We had a child plan meeting with placement on Friday. And so they're still very much going to be placement for Gabriella. Right now, they know our intent of possibly moving Gabriella in the future. And they are a sound home. They medically take care of Gabriella, but we do have some barriers in collaborating, working with BioMom. BioMom has a very hard time. She went to a overnight stay where Gabriella was being monitored for 24 hours. We let them know that mom would be there at the appointment, as only one adult could be there. The hospital refused to let mom be in the appointment because they were told that mom's visits have to be supervised. And I explained to the hospital that this is not a visit, this is a medical appointment. Mom has access to Gabriella. And so we had to go as far as asking to speak to their legal team to make sure that mom could be there at the appointment. Mom has requested medical records. They still have not to date given mom those medical records. They gave me a call and I verified that mom has access to medical records. Mom had the court order with her in person, and I had to let them know what page of the court order it says their mom can get those medical records. Mom also has no restrictions in her court order for visitation. Granted, Courtney has canceled the last few visits, but I also made it clear to placement agency on Friday that mom has access to her daughter. As long as we can schedule a visit, we need to do that. Even if she cancels it, she has the legal right to do so to see her child. And so Courtney has a lot of barriers trying to prepare herself to even get her daughter because she can't get medical records. I requested all of Gabriella's medical records and I do have a copy of that, Courtney. So we'll get that scanned into a thumb drive and get you a copy of that.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Ms. Britton, would you like to have an attorney again?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't remember who your attorney was before.
Brooks Barfield.
I would need you to fill out some new paperwork for me to make sure you still qualify. I think there's probably no doubt about that, but for the county, for the powers that be in the county, I would need you to do that. So Ms. Brown, I think maybe if you just forward that to her, and if you'll fill that out again, Ms. Britton, I'll take a look at it. And would you like to have Mr. Barfield as your attorney again, or does it matter?
A different one, because I had issues last time with returning calls or anything.
Okay. All right. Well, if you'll get that paperwork and get it back to Ms. Brown, and she'll get it to Ms. Katie, and I just think that might be of some help to you as far as getting some of these things that you're having issues with.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right then. So I will continue the department permanent managing conservator. I'll continue placement, and I am going to order there be no change in the child's placement unless we have an agreement or a hearing. And then our next hearing will be December 14th. Okay, we will go ahead and take your announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, and Dale Vincent is my work permanency specialist today. We're present, ready on.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the girls. I have represented them for quite some time. I will say it has been a long time since I've been able to get through and talk with placement or talk with them. So I really have no recent communication with them, although over the years they have done quite well there. So I don't have any reason to doubt that they're doing well, but I have not had any communication.
I have.
Okay, good. All right then. So what do we have new since your court report was filed?
Well, nothing new since the court report was filed, but the girls are doing great. Daniel, am I just butting in on your business? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. That's for you.
The girls are doing fantastic in this placement, Your Honor. They are thriving. They have said that they do not want to leave Javon's home. She is, they are all very attached and just seem to be doing great. She's making sure that they're going to therapy and that all of their needs are being addressed.
And this is an older sister, correct?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And Dale, I'm sorry, are they trying to get on the hearing right now?
Yes, the placement is trying to come in, Your Honor.
I had you trying to come in under a different device, but it doesn't look like it's connecting. Were you having some difficulty?
Me, Your Honor?
Yes.
Yes, it was like buffering for a really long time.
All right. Okay, well, we've got you now. So we've just gotten a report that the girls are doing well and everything's going great. So since you're present with us, anything you need to tell us about today?
No, the girls are doing great. Janae got the highest math grade in her whole grade. Amani got the highest grade for social studies. They have built great relationships. I did tell them that we had a court hearing coming up and, is there anything that they wanted to talk about? And they just said, we just really want to stay with our sister. And we just kind of want to know where we at. And I was like, I don't know, guys. I'll go to the hearing and then we'll see. But they are doing phenomenal. And that foster mom has done such a great job with them. I cannot say enough amazing things about her.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm the girls' attorney, and Kelly, my assistant, has reached out several times to Javon over the past few months, and we have not been able to get any return back. I have no worries. I mean, the girls have always done well there, and I've been able to communicate with them in the past. I don't know if she's just not recognizing Kelly's name or what our relationship is, but anything you could do to pass along that what my role is to talk with the girls, to represent them, and that I do need to be able to check in with them. But again, they've been there for quite some time and I've got no concerns, and they've been doing well every time I've talked to them.
I will, I'm actually going to go see her, I think next week. So I will definitely touch base with her. I know she's had some of the sisters, caseworkers reaching out, and I think she just doesn't always know who's contacting her. I guess they have an older sister, and that older sister worker was trying to coordinate visits, and she's always like, I don't know who these people are. And she's a single mom with 5 kids and works a lot. So she's pretty busy with schedules and everything, but I'll definitely touch base with her and see if we can get something set up soon.
Okay. And the one that calls from my office is Kelly Deaton. Okay. But if you could just let her know, I'm the same attorney that the girls have had for years now, actually. So when Kelly calls, that's on my behalf to try to schedule a meeting with them.
Okay. I'll let her know.
Thanks.
All right. Sounds like everything's going well. So I'll continue the department as permanent managing conservator, and I will continue placement. And we have our next hearing is December 14th.
Daniel Trout for
2023
Texas
on
Department of
9
Family
o'clock.
Protective Services, and Jennifer Campos is my pharmacy specialist today.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of Michaela.
Okay, what do we have new since the court report's filed?
I think on the last court report, she was placed at another residential treatment center called House of Hope. She has been moved to Royal Oaks RTC. She started off a little rocky there. She was having behavior issues and stuff like that. They did talk with her and were able to calm her down. And stuff like that. They were going to do a discharge on her, but they decided not to. As far as I know, that's what Lori, which is her case manager, let me know this morning. And as far as I know, she's been doing okay, other than the rocky road. That's about it. I haven't got to talk to Michaela since she was in the psychiatric hospital before she moved to this placement. But I was going to call her. I have a meeting with them tomorrow. And so I was going to talk with her after that. I just haven't had a chance to talk with her.
So, okay, let me just clarify. I mean, I'd seen that there was some discharge on her in March. it was that this placement and they didn't follow through, or was that her prior placement?
That was her prior placement. So she was in a therapeutic home, and there was some allegations made. She was discharged from there. I think it was in March. And then she was in a psychiatric hospital, and then she moved to another residential treatment center, and she did very well there for a couple of months or so. And then she talked to her. She said that she was being bullied and stuff like that. And, you know, I tried to explain to her that I can't keep bullying from happening to you. You know, I can't put you in a bubble. You know, you're going to get bullied whether you're at school or, you know, whatever. There's always going to be some type. I was like, but there's a way to react, you know, and to, you know, ignore them or tell somebody about it. And so then from that treatment center, they actually were closing. So they did a discharge on her, a 24-hour discharge on her. And so she moved to this one.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Zavala.
So I've gotten to Zoom with her. She actually seems really pretty good at this placement. She says this is the first place that she has felt safe in quite some time. She was very positive about it. I then got to speak separately to Lori, her case manager there. Lori said they have had a few incidents, but they have been able to de-escalate them. And hopefully that will get better. From Michaela's viewpoint, it's either her and one other child or two other children. I don't know if she's one of two or if there are two other, but I think that having fewer girls is helpful. She feels comfortable there. She's getting to participate right now in a theater camp, so that may be why she didn't log in. And she was really excited about that theater camp. I really hope that this placement can keep her and keep working with her, because she seems good there. And it was a positive discussion. But we did talk a little bit about working on those anger issues. She does have some requests that I need to talk with Jennifer about, and I haven't always been her attorney, so I don't know all of the background. She really wants to have 1 or 2 conversations with Dad. I don't know if we even know where Dad is. I don't know if that would be appropriate in any way, but that is something that she has requested for me to check on, as well as a conversation with Grandma. I do have a name. Again, I don't know the back, and I don't know if we even have information on them, but she is requesting to see if there's any way she could have a conversation with one or both of them.
I have to let St. Francis probably take a dive into that.
I got this case in November, and I don't know anything about parents. All I know is that their rights were terminated. I mean, they are still in impact, but the only thing I can think of is to do a finder search, maybe, and see if something pops up. That's the only thing I can think of, because I can almost guarantee you that the numbers that are in impact for them are probably not the same. I mean, I can try, but I mean, that's the only thing I know of, because I don't even know who Dad is. I don't know Grandma. I don't know anybody. I just know Michaela.
She did say it's been 5 years, I think, since she's had communication with either of them.
Yeah. You know, my recollection is that parents were pretty much non-participants in the underlying case. I mean, it worries me that we're setting her up for a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think my recollection about this is that, you know, we stopped visitation because they weren't engaged. I think we even went maybe to an early final hearing because they weren't engaged. I mean, it was, drugs were involved. I'm just very concerned. Now, grandmother, I don't know which grandmother she's talking about, paternal, maternal. Did she make that clear, Stacy?
She did give me a name, Cynthia Rivera, but I don't know on which side. And I did tell her that I didn't know if we could make that happen, or even if it would be appropriate. But that I told her that I would pass along her request.
Okay. Well, I guess we can see what we can find as far as grandmother or anything, but I'm just, the history with parents was not the kind of thing that I think is going to be supportive to her. If anything, I think it's, if that's still the case, I mean, it's just they're going to pop in and then they're going to fall out. And I'm not sure it's going to do her any good.
Yeah. And when she talked about dad, it was more like, almost like a one-time phone conversation is what she was hoping for. I think she was hoping for maybe ongoing communication with grandmother.
Well, okay. So Ms. Campus, let's see if we can just even find him. That's a starting point.
Okay.
And then maybe it can be broached whether it's even appropriate and whether or not we can even get a hold of him and get it set up,
Okay. Yeah. I can try. The only thing I can do is do a diligent finder search and see if their names pop up and, go from there. And I'm willing to do that. Of course I would talk to grandma first.
And I think Michaela would be a great fit for a CASA if we could get her on the wait list. I know we generally have a wait list, and CASA's got kind of this new program where they reach out to family members, and they've had some good success.
I think so too.
We have an employee whole organization within our at St. Francis that's a connection specialist, and that's their sole responsibility is to find relatives for a child. So Jennifer, you need to do a referral to the connection specialist, which is Jo Beth Noble. And then if we can get CASA on, they can do their CFE.
Okay. I didn't know about that. Thank you, Tippy.
Okay. So we can pursue both those things. Ms. Katie, we can reach out to CASA, see if they've got an advocate that can take on this case. All right, then I'll continue the department as permanent manager can serve and continue placement. And if we have a CASA volunteer, we will order them into the case. Our next hearing is scheduled for November 30th.
Job for the Texas
2023
Department
on
of
a
Family
9 o'clock
Protective Services, and Mario Zavala is my permanency specialist today.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Aiden, here and ready.
Now Garrett with CASA.
Okay. Thank y'all. What do we have next since our court report was filed?
When it comes to Aiden, he's doing okay. He has his his up and down days when it comes to getting on track with school. I think that's like the biggest struggle right now is getting Aiden on track with school. He is thinking about going to a secondary school that will allow him to graduate early. And to kind of get back on track. Having to work with Aiden is a little hard when it comes to school. Like I said, he's just kind of rebellious a little here and there. He feels like school is just stupid to him. So I'm still trying to work with him to take it seriously and to graduate. But as far as anything else, that's the only thing that I have a problem with Aiden right now. They both have talked about moving to Amarillo. I think what they're wanting to do, they're having a hard time leaving their apartment and moving into a decent home. We've even talked about possibly giving the sister Briley, who he's living with, PMC, but we don't know if she's qualified because of her age.
How old is she?
She's 19. But her husband is 21. And they're legally married.
And is that how we got placement there because of his age?
Oh, well, he ran away from placement. And so at first it became it was an approved home study. And then eventually it became approved.
Okay, that's right. It started out as an unauthorized placement. That's right.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, but other than school, I mean, is he doing okay?
Yeah, he's doing pretty well. He's open to going to counseling, and then he doesn't want to go back. He said that he feels like he needs to get on medication. However, he really voiced to me that he wants to be supervised when getting on medication. He felt like when the last placement that he was at was giving him too much medication, and it was making him fall asleep a lot in class. Aiden feels like he does have an issue with understanding and following direction, and he wants to be evaluated with that. He just wants to be. He doesn't want to be filled with medications. So that's like.
How long has it been since he's had like a med review?
Gosh, it's been probably since October of last year.
Because he's not been on anything?
Yeah, he hasn't been on anything because he was really just against it. But ever since he started living with his sister, and he said that he's been noticing himself that he does become really rebellious. He doesn't want to go to school, but he feels like there's something wrong with him that needs to be addressed.
Okay. So let's get him set up for an appointment to have, you know, a full med review. And, you know, he's a little older now. He's a little more able to express how he's feeling and all that. So let's do that.
I think that's pretty much it. He wants to work. I'm encouraging him to go to work. He's saying that they won't hire him because of his criminal background, which I don't know if they're looking at that.
Probably more than 15.
Yeah, a lot of it has happened since, you know, it's been like over a year, and I think Aiden, it's kind of an excuse. He just wants to make the big bucks right now. So he's like, I'd rather work and not go to school. So I'm like, nah, that's not how it works.
Well, I think his options are fairly limited, but you know,
Yeah.
16, then that probably opens up a little bit more. Okay.
And he's still, Your Honor, he still has a pending case where I'm not sure if Stacey Zavala has heard anything about that pending case.
I'm aware of it. Since we're on YouTube, let me just say I'm aware of it. I know what the charge is. We don't have to go in. We don't have to go into the specifics of it.
And in response, I'm hoping that no news is good news.
Yeah.
And that's the approach. If you hear anything though, please let me know, because
I will.
I would like to communicate on that if something goes forward.
Sure.
All right. Okay, Ms. Zavala, anything new?
So, you know, I have to say that when Aiden was first placed with Briley and Nathaniel, I had my doubts, but I think it's been a good place for them. And Briley continues to impress me all the time with everything that she's trying to do to help him. And Aiden's coming around. He's you know, he has a history of running. He has a history of being in different placements and not doing so well. So I really actually am quite thrilled with where he is. He does have things he needs to work on. I think Mario's a great fit to meet with him and talk with him. And I think we're seeing some slow progress, and you know, yeah. He also expressed to me that he would like his birth certificate and social security card, I think for the same reason, in terms of getting a job at some point. And while I think school needs to be his focus, maybe a part-time job can help get him focused, get him, you know, thinking about some things. And so really just the identification is the only issue that I had down. I wasn't able to talk to him until late yesterday. But in general, I sure like that placement, and I'm hoping he decides to take school a little more seriously.
All right, so let's get involved in getting that birth certificate, in social security card to at least to his sister, to placement for safekeeping, but they would be accessible by the child. So
yeah, we submitted it, Your Honor. Him being born in New Mexico, I think that's what's taking so long. He's not. I think he lives in Albuquerque. I think he was born in Albuquerque, so I think that's a 4-hour drive. So, I mean, I've offered to go down there and see what I can do because they're not really communicating with me very well. But all the request for that has been submitted, and that was like probably back in February.
okay. Well, I'll just keep following up on it and see what we can do. Okay. All right, then I'm going to continue the department as permanent managing conservator. I'll continue placement. I don't think, as far as PMCing to sister and husband, I don't think her age is a barrier there. Not that I'm aware of under the family code. But we can look into that maybe before our next hearing. But I do want the full medical review done for the child, so we can order that. And so if that's a direction that the sister wants to go, we can certainly discuss that before the next hearing.
Okay.
And CASA, I'm sorry, my apologies.
Thank you, Your Honor. Talking about his meds, I do remember whenever he was in his last placement, he was having trouble with his meds. He was sleeping a lot, falling asleep in school. But he is doing well in his placement with his sister. He does want to be adopted by her. And he's also discussed, going to the Marines whenever he ages out. So he needs to know, and he has to go to school to do that though. But otherwise he's doing fine.
Yeah. He needs to do well in school if he wants to do that. And I just don't know whether financially it's feasible for them to do the adoption, but I guess those need to be some kind of hard discussions that need to happen in the next 6 months.
Sure.
Okay. We don't have a court reporter today. All right, then. Thank you all very much.
We'll
go ahead and take announcements. November 30th.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, and Mickey Lane's my pregnancy specialist, Your Honor, and she may have dropped out.
She did, and she hasn't logged back in again, so we'll keep going in here for a minute.
I can testify if needed to.
Okay.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the children.
Okay, CASA is present with us. Okay. Ms. Lane did fill out, but Ms. Watson, if we are so pressed for time to try to start our 1 o'clock docket on time, if you wouldn't mind anything new since the court reports were filed.
Yes, ma'am. For the 2 children down south in their adoptive placement, placement is going to be made on the 8th into the adoptive home and should be consummated in August. The subsidy negotiation was approved, completed, so we're good to go on that one.
Okay, so that's the 2 youngest children, right? Yes. Alessandra and Nayeli?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Wonderful. All right.
The 2 boys, Dion and JJ, they are with Austin Stone. He has completed all of his licensing, and we have submitted his packet for approval to move forward with that. So we're hoping to have them adopted, I would say by October at the very latest. We may try to push them all as a sibling group to National Adoption Day, because that would be fantastic. But we're not going to hold anybody up from being adopted.
Sure. So that's okay. Tell me, that's JJ,
and Dion.
And Dion. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Anaya, she continues to have some struggles. We're still moving forward with it. We've got some wraparound services for her. And we've started her with a new therapist. And so we're hoping that goes well. We've had some team meeting to support her placement. And so I think it's still working, and we're still on track to move forward with adoption there as well. The other 4 with Amanda, they have completed the home study process. And we're moving forward on that as well. We've sent out adoption packets, and we're working on those and hopefully to get those back from Amanda very soon. We've got all of the redactions and everything back. So we're moving forward on that. And that leaves the last 2 that are placed with Eternity. Things are going well there. She is licensed as well. And so we're moving forward through the adoption process there. All the kids are doing very well. There's been no concern. There has been some interference by mom, but Amanda and her husband are handling that very well. They've contacted the police every time they come out, and so they're following all their legal remedies for that. And I think that's all.
Okay. So basically, y'all are achieving the impossible.
Mickey Lane, I can't sing her praises enough, and Beth and CASA for everything they did to help make this all happen and support this family. It's been amazing.
And I think we lost Ms. Lane again, but just you can pass along to her how impressed I am and how much progress has been made and how quickly the ball is rolling on all 11 kids. I mean, it's amazing. So
It is that they're all with family. It's incredible.
Okay, Ms. Zavala, don't rain on anybody's parade, please.
No. I believe the kids are all doing really well. I'm really thrilled with placements. I have 2 miracle requests to make. I don't know if they're going to be possible or not. As was stated, the 2 youngest are due for an adoption very quickly. They are placed far away. The olders have not had any in-person contact with them. If there is any way to get one in-person visit so they can kind of say goodbye, because I don't know how much contact is going to happen after the adoption. I do know, especially for the older kids who took a role in kind of providing some care for those babies, they're really wanting just to lay eyes on them, get to hug them. I know that is a crazy hard, impossible request when we're looking at maybe less than a month to make it happen. But if there's any way we could do that, that's my impossible request number 1. My other hard request, I believe it's as Amelia was born at home with a midwife and doesn't have a social security card or a birth certificate. I honestly don't know what we need to do to make that happen, but that's impossible request number 2. But all of the kids are doing really well where they are. And I would love to see those adoptions go through as quickly as possible.
So which child you're saying was the at-home?
I believe it's Asmelia. She's 8.
8. Okay. Ms. Watson maybe answer, but I know there's a process for it because I had a Childress or Hall County case where they've had to be going through the same thing with a home birth. So I know there is a process, but it is also a lengthy process. Or it seems to have been in that case. So I don't know if Ms. Watson, if you have any input on that or not.
I'm checking real quick to see if we have a number. We should have a social security number. And if that's the case, and you said it's Asmelia?
I sure believe so. I may have gotten it wrong, but I believe so.
Pretty sure. Okay, there's not one in the system. We'll get on that right away because she's got Medicaid, so we may just not have the number that they've issued to her.
Like I said, I know with the home birth that there's an actual process to getting that official birth certificate and all of that stuff done. So, but I also know in that case, it's taken a very long time.
And truth be told, I don't know if we're going to get to the adoption pretty quickly. If we could just sort of bypass that and just get the new birth certificate, I don't know if that's possible or not.
We can do it without the birth certificate, but not without the social security. So I'm sure that's probably been requested from Anthony Badke already with DFPS. We'll follow up on that though.
But yeah, usually in adoption, then you just do the amended birth certificate, and if they're going to send off, there isn't going to be the original birth. I think they're going to have to get that original birth certificate handled, even though it was a home birth. And in my recollection is there's some requirements that, they have to get some sworn affidavits, from either birth mother or someone else that had knowledge about that. Yes, that birth took place at home, that, those things happened. And I think like in that other case I've had, Stacy, I think like they ended up getting some affidavits from EMTs that were actually called then subsequently to the birth of the child, but who came to the home and then transported mother and the infant to, the closest hospital, I think to Childress. And, I think they ended up having to go to them for.
Fortunately, we have family that we know of. And so I don't think those affidavits will be as hard to find.
But I think that's part of the process.
Yes.
So, okay. All right. Well, okay. I'm delighted to hear everybody's doing so well. And so until these adoptions start happening, then I'm going to continue the department as permanent managing conservator. And I apologize, Ms. Garland, anything else that you guys want to add? I'm so sorry. I'm going to stop in my tracks.
Really, Judge Baker, they said everything we wanted to say. The kids are doing great in their placements. We're very pleased with how it's going with all of the kids. The only recommendation that we had was that our younger ones get into some counseling. We still have the kids that are placed with Amanda and with Eternity. They're not in any regular counseling right now. And then we were waiting on Anaya, but it sounds like maybe she got connected with a counselor. Is that right, Tiffy?
We had Texas Boys and Girls Ranch reach out, and they are allowing their counselors to help us with this sibling group. So that's all set up. All the applications have been sent in and they're scheduled.
Perfect.
Okay, great. All right, then. Now I will continue the department as permanent managing and continue all the kids' placements. And our next review hearings are scheduled for November 30th of 2023. So I don't know what date National Adoption Day is this year, but I think it's before that. But it sounds like some of these very well may have been adopted before then. But anyway, we'll see where we're at. If we need those hearings, we've got them on a court services or a motion to participate. This has been filed and requested to be a what we call a TFF case, Texas Family First case, or a family preservation case. All right, we'll go ahead and take everyone's announcements.
Todd Albee on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present, ready to proceed, Your Honor. I think that we have an agreement that we can announce. I would like to make sure that we've gotten everybody that needs to be in to hear this announcement. I don't know if you have anybody in your waiting room.
I brought everybody in.
Perfect. So then I'm ready to make an announcement when everybody's announced their status.
Okay.
Judge Teresa Ratliff for the mother, Grace Robinson. I'm present. My client is also present via Zoom, and I believe we are going to be in agreement with what Mr. Albee announces.
Joel Jackson on behalf of the father, Michael Robinson, aka Michael Robinson, aka Will Robinson. We're present and ready, Your Honor.
Danger, danger.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the child here and ready.
Judge, as a TFF case, the parties have gone through a family team meeting, and I think they have already agreed on certain services that need to be offered and completed. Specifically, Your Honor, there are some services that we were going to offer Kyra, help maybe help her be able to manage in the adult world. So with that in mind, the parties have agreed to work services, and the department's going to provide those services for them.
All right. And Mr. Robinson, I'm sure you get that all the time, so I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm sorry that Mr. Jackson had to make a bad joke. That's
most people, because I won't allow them to call me Will, it's William, and I don't let them call me Mike either. It's Michael. So most people don't put it together, thankfully.
All right. Ms. Ratliff, is that you and your client's agreement?
Judge, yes, my client, my understanding is they have done this and sought these resources to supplement what they might be able to do for the daughter and keep her in their home, and she's absolutely in agreement. And they've offered some of the services, including, I believe, the equine therapy. So we're hopeful.
Okay. And Mr. Jackson, same with you and your client?
Absolutely. Absolutely. These parents are doing everything that they can to keep this kiddo in their home. So absolutely, that's our agreement.
All right. And Ms. Zavala, do you believe this is in the best interest of Kyra?
Yes, I think she's going to have a whole team, including her parents, that are working together to keep her at home. And I do believe this is in her best interest.
Very well. Okay. All right, Mr. Robinson, I know you all have really, you're probably kind of at your wit's end, and I appreciate you letting us try this and see if, we can't give you all some much needed help. And, the hopes are that this will work and we can make some headway. So I appreciate your cooperation and working all this out with the department. Your attorneys will remain in the case with you all. So, we'll have some periodic little, what we call compliance hearings, just to, as much as anything to keep me updated on the case or address any questions or anything that I might need to make a decision about.
Okay.
Anyway, the first of those hearings that we will have will be October 3rd of 2023, and that'll be on a 9:00 docket. That sounds like it's a long way away. And if something comes up and we need to get together before that, all these attorneys know exactly how to do that and to notify us and something set up. So, the mission is to make this a success. And if that means we all need to get together before October, then that's what we need to do. So, okay. Then I will order the services that have been gone over and agreed to by everybody. And I'll see everybody back October 3rd for that first compliance hearing. Hope that everything will go well for you all, Kyra.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Judge, what time on October 3rd?
It'll be a 9:00 docket.
9.
So, Rachel will send the docket out about a week in advance and it'll have an exact time.